Welcome everybody to the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card, where today we're going to be going into your deeper self, your deepest intuition, to see what messages that part of you wants to bring to you or wants to bring to the surface. And the inspiration for doing this reading, and even literally the title of the reading, came from me just recently purchasing this gorgeous oracle deck called, I'll just show the box, Deeper Self Oracle by Sophie Elvari. Try and get my fingers out of the way so you can see. She's a fellow Australian. She did this beautiful deck. And I was really drawn to it because it reminds me a little bit. There's another deck that I use sometimes called Soul Cards by touchdrawing.com. It's different. Soul Cards seems to be just channeled sort of artwork that you can kind of interpret as you feel it. This has a lot of very conscious esoteric symbolism in it. So it's different on that level. But Sophie says if you go to her Etsy store, which the link is below if you're interested in looking at this deck further, she says that this is designed to help you train your intuition. And I think it's brilliant because she doesn't put any particular keywords or anything. She just puts this very beautiful, very resonant imagery and allows you to go into what it says to you. She does have a guidebook. Now, what I've done, so that you know, I literally only got this deck yesterday. I flicked through it quickly and I saw quite a lot of familiar esoteric imagery to me, and a lot of sort of stuff that perhaps is not familiar. But with this reading, I'm going to stick very much to what she suggested, in that I am going to be reading what I see in the imagery to start with. Then in each reading, because there's this card and there's two others, I don't know what they are yet for each reading, to try and get to the symbolism, the symbolic language that your deeper self is talking to you about. Read what I see. Then I'm going to pause. It would be a nanosecond for you, but I'm going to pause and I'm going to look at the guidebook then. So I've deliberately not looked at the guidebook to this point, so that I can see if there's anything else that I would add that is sort of different to my interpretations, just to round it out a bit for you. I would also suggest either before we go into the tarot section after that, or at the end, go back to the beginning and pause on the three cards and see what you get as well. So don't be completely sort of guided just by what I say, because this is a collective reading. And as I say, I think the power of this deck is to unlock your intuition as well. So there's a kind of a second level within this particular reading for you to experiment with. So as I say, beyond that, we're going to be looking at the sort of deeper symbolic language. I do feel that symbolic language is incredibly powerful. I think it's the universal language. One of the things I found, just as an aside for anybody who's interested, is that I'm very interested in alchemy, as anybody who comes to this channel would probably have realized. But I came to that in an interesting way. I was doing many, many years ago guided meditation, and I would keep seeing all these symbols, and I ended up going and looking them up. And it turned out they were all the symbols of alchemy. And I didn't actually know about alchemy. It just wasn't something, even though I grew up in a very occult-oriented family, we didn't really ever talk about alchemy. So it was new to me. But that was very resonant. It made me realize that either what we do is we connect into the collective unconscious and we see the symbols and we connect that way, or maybe it's memories from past lives. But I find that really interesting. I did similar thing when I've done shamanic journeying, that it's really interesting what you find the symbols mean that you see, that you've seen almost separate to even having a particular spiritual tradition attached to it. So it's something I'd recommend, and I would say decks like this are really good for that, to like get into that, but also meditation and so forth. So as I say, the link for Sophie's shop is in the description box below if you want to check the deck out further. For anybody who's new to this channel, just so you know, none of the deck links or whatever that I have in the description box, I don't have any affiliate links or anything. I don't connect on that level. I just buy decks that I like and I showcase them, because one of the things for this channel is to support creatives. So just so that people know, I think most people who come here regularly know that, but just thought I'd say it because I really did want to shout out her work here, because I think, I love to support my fellow Australians, but beyond that, I think it's a really interesting idea, and it's really obvious to me, as I say, even without looking at the guidebook yet, that she's drawn on a wealth of occult knowledge in doing this. So let's go on the journey with your deeper intuitive self, everybody. So to help potentially with the pile choice, of course, if you always go to pile 2, Of course, if you want to go to more than one, go to more than one. But I'm just going to tell you the number of the card. I'm not going to talk about anything else yet. For pile number 1, we have 41. For pile number 2, we have 39. And for pile number 3, we have 19. So if the number, the image or something like that, I mean, I'd really go into the image. If you don't automatically always go to a particular pile, feel into where you think the images are drawing you. And when you know what reading or readings you want to go to, I've got the timestamps as always in the description box below, and I'll see you there. Welcome pile 1 to your reading. So you came to the reading with this really intriguing imagery of what looks to me like a download of celestial, occult, supernatural, whatever you want to say, information into the crown chakra of this woman, and how there are many colours and energy fields that are created as a result of that. It's actually really interesting because I've just recently, at the point that I'm filming this, just finished publishing a Lightning Path series, which is the divine energy in the Kabbalah from Keter to Malkuth that would be represented in your soul. And I feel like there's a similar sort of feeling here. I feel like there's a sort of an energy from the divine coming down and connecting into you. And then when I have a look at this card, which seems to have a central person who is connected to others by, again, what appears to be kind of psychic energy, and then a person whose mind opens up to great sort of almost like creativity, the difference, you know, like things that are sort of like potentially sort of, again, supernatural or unnatural, not in a bad way, but unnatural in the sense that they aren't part of our normal natural world. My first feeling looking at this is that this is a highly telepathic group. Probably a lot of downloads from spirit are coming through, and they're coming through. This is about your deeper intuitive self, to wake that up, I think. But it's also, I think you're both a receiver and a sender, so to speak. Because I think that's kind of what that's showing. This is receiving firstly from, say, the divine, and it's all the colours coming down into the crown chakra. So there's a sense here of a great breadth. I feel like this is a group that has a great breadth of connection across different cultures, different people, different belief structures, and it's your capacity to channel in all of that and bring it into one point and understand it and then radiate it out, that I think shows your capacity to connect to others. I think this is a group. This is your deeper self is talking to you about how connected you are, not just to the divine, but to other people. In fact, I think it's this connection, this telepathic connection, because I think often with people who are telepathic, you might be a receiver or you might be a sender. You're both. That's what this is saying. You are definitely getting energy, but it's energy, I feel, about inclusion. It's energy about understanding that and equally receiving all the elements, all the colours, all of that sort of thing, so that you radiate out something that is also multifaceted. But I also feel when I look at this, you have here, if I see this as then a representation of you connecting out with others and also receiving from others, I feel as though one of the things your intuition might be saying to you is that because of that energy, so we've got like a connection to what looks like an alien being here, and then to other, in fact, there's almost like two alien beings, and then there's sort of people as well. And it's even, you know, this could be two people with their sort of different aspects. It's a little bit hard to know for sure exactly how many we're talking about there, but we are talking about variety. We are talking about difference. And it is like you are both sending information out and you're receiving information in. But I feel almost as though with the way that the white light energy here is enwrapping you, some of you may feel that your creative energy, which is extraordinary, if you look at this now in terms of what you would want to send and set free into the world, it has all these different colors, all this sort of like radiance, and it's a combination with the colors here of, say, yellow and orange, which talks to me of the solar plexus chakra, the sacral chakra, and then pink and purple, which feels more like kind of the heart and the crown chakra. All this amazing sort of difference that you could bring out and create. But I feel as though it's saying you're feeling a bit blocked. You are so tied up in the interchange of information that if anything, you feel a bit like it's like a receiving station as opposed to being able to move and do what you would want to do. I feel like it could be saying that that you are getting these sort of downloads and you are connecting, and that is what you're meant to do. But at the moment, you're feeling constrained by it. You're feeling that connection doesn't allow you to be fully creative. It's sort of you feel more like a sort of processing station for everybody else rather than to be able to do what is true to you. So I think that there is something here about exploring how to use that sort of energy, whether you're, as I say, sending or receiving from people. It does give you a breadth of understanding and a sort of spiritual connection that's rare, I would say, but it's also got its limitations. It's how do you be yourself? I think what your deeper self wants you to think about is when you are so psychic, when this is going on, how do you differentiate yourself out to create all your particular unique beauty and creativity in whatever form it is, as opposed to just being sort of someone who is, you almost feel like a spiritual journalist or something, but instead of being a kind of receiver and sender, you become a creator. It's a different energy. So what I feel this is saying that what is a great gift in many ways can also trap us in some ways. Now, the other way of reading this, some of you might be saying, I don't feel trapped. The other way of reading this is that this is like a big hug from everybody, in which case I'd almost read it the other direction. Like I'd read it in this direction, like start with that, then that, then that. If it's that you feel a bit constrained, having had all of the different views and not being able to necessarily express what your views are, for instance. But if you actually say, no, I actually feel this is my wellspring, my source, like both the divine and other people and interdimensional energies and all of that kind of thing, then it's your creative energy comes from these energies. So it depends. It's probably going to depend on who's coming to the reading, but we will be able to look at it in terms of the tarot. Before I do that, though, I am, as I said in the introduction, I'm just going to pause. It'll be a nanosecond to you. You won't know, but I'm actually going to look and see what Sophie, the artist, has said about these to see if there's anything else that I would take from that I think could nuance what I'm saying or could be a message to one or more of you that's a bit separate to that overarching sense I get from the cards. Okay. So that was useful to look at because there are distinctly different meanings that the artist has brought to some of this. I still feel because of the nature of the deck that what I'm getting is true, but this is adding another layer to it. The other layer to it is that this card is like a portal, and it is saying because it's coming into a single point and radiating out equally that you are aligned. So again, the information that you're getting is aligned, but I think it's aligned to many other people, many cultures, many beliefs. What is interesting is that this card, from the artist's perspective, is a card of past lives. So I saw this as connecting to other people that are around at the moment and other dimensions, but this is also connecting to other versions of you. So that's an interesting additional level. You may be actually able to portal and connect into your past lives. And if that's the case, then that's very important at the moment for you to be able to be all that you are, because this is a multi-dimensional card. This is like being all the things, being able to be all the things according to the artist. So I still feel for me that the overarching energy around this is connecting to others, but it could be connecting to other versions of yourself as well as other people, other cultures and so forth. I also think with that overlay that it's a strong indication that you are aligned, are very psychic, do have this potential. But I think that this is also saying that if this is from past lives as well, you're bringing that ability in. But again, are you letting it connect you in a way that's useful for you to know all that you can be? Or are you letting it straitjacket you into what you have been in the past, both in this life and in other situations? So beyond that, as I say, whether you do it now or whether you do it at the end of the reading, I would also pause and then just feel into it and see what else you get from these images, because it's meant to be very personal, a bit like dream interpretation. But now we're going to just explore a little bit more in a more conventional way. So I'm going to use, or conventional for this channel anyway, I'm going to use the Ego Observer Tarot. Now the reason I chose that is partly the artwork is kind of similar. It's not the same, but there's a nice alignment. But more than that, this is your intuitive self. Your intuitive self, understanding, I think, your multidimensionality, understanding your connection with others, your connection with your own past, your connection with the divine. but that is on that deeper intuitive level. I feel the Ego Observer Tarot works really well because it is a tarot that is more about your psychology. I think it's very based on psychology. So if we take each of these, and that's what we're going to do, and we're going to get 3 Ego Observer cards for each on two different, or actually on one major level to start with, and then we'll be doing something else. But what I'm looking at here for each of these is how much this message, and this is what is conscious and psychological from the deeper intuitive energy, how much this message is based on external factors, which will be if we get major arcana, other people if we get court cards, or your own internal journey, which is if we get only the sort of the minor arcana. Now, that may tell us how much of this is an internal thing and how much in past lives and so forth, and how much is connected to others. So that will be interesting to see in this particular one. So we're just going to look at that. Well, I will look at what the cards are saying as well, but I really do want to get a sense to start with. What are we talking about? Is this a message from your deeper self, which is about something external you have to be aware of that's coming in, or is it about how you're interacting with others, or is it your own personal journey? So we'll start firstly with the original one that brought you in. So we have 3 of Cups reversed. We have the Magician reversed. Now that's interesting. And we have the Ace of Swords reversed. Okay. This is saying that either way, it's not answering the question for us about, in the 2 interpretations, whether it's very much like the guidebook and it's about you, your past lives, and what you can develop into next, or whether it's about connection with others. It might be tilting to the former because we don't have court cards yet, but we'll see what we get there. But what this is saying, we have 2 minor arcana. So we have the Ace of Swords reverse and we have the 3 of Cups reverse. So this is about something within your own internal energy. And it's interesting that we've got the Ace of Swords, which to me feels like a download, but it's reversed. We've got the 3 of Cups reversed. Now the 3 of Cups, although it is, in how I'm looking at this, an internal process, it's an internal process that has to do with sharing and celebration. So I feel as though there is something here. I feel very strongly there is something here about you balancing your downloads from the divine and from others, and what you would or wouldn't share, because there is something that is either blocking the energy, and this is an external thing you need to be aware of with the Magician reversed, or at its worst, straitjacketing you or controlling you in some way. So I feel like this is saying the downloads that you're getting from the divine, because I think that's what we're looking at there, that's meant to be talking about, something that frees you up, something that takes you to this point, something that inspires you. But I do feel as though there is an interference. I think this is what it's saying. So some of you may not even be aware. Like one of the things around this, whether it's that you're an empath and you pick up other people's, like emotions, or whether that sometimes you think like, where did that thought come from? It's probably telepathic. It's probably from something else. So the understanding of this is important. The other thing that I think it's talking about here is how you stay true to yourself when you get the downloads and so forth, but still have community and connection with others. Because 3 of Cups upright is like normally kind of more celebration and connection with others. With it reversed, the energy there suggests there's some discordance with others. For some of you, I'm getting this is very specific. If right now you are in a relationship and you're not sure if you can trust the person, I'd go with that instinct. There's something else going on. So for some of you, you're getting a download to let you know something about other parties involved. Whether it doesn't necessarily mean the person's cheating, but there are other parties involved. So there's definitely something here that is about what is truthful and being able to be truthful and expand to who you are that is being blocked in some way. So then let's see what we get when we look at this one, which, as I say, could either operate as a nice warm hug or as a straitjacket. So let's see what the balance is there for you. Have the 2 of Wands, the 5 of Cups, and Justice reversed. So it's the same thing. It's the same balance. There's something external occurring here, and there's something problematic in it. Like it's becoming very clear here. This is definitely meant to be, it's an internal journey and it's about you understanding who you are, but you do have this telepathic understanding. You've got a gut instinct about this. If you come to the right reading, this is what this is saying to you. you know there's something that is not right, something that is not being honest at the moment. You want to commit to something, but there's a great deal of heartache associated with it or disappointment associated with it. For some of you, this is about a relationship, and it doesn't have to be a love relationship. It could be a friendship. It could be anything where you need to get better boundaries and you need to understand it better because something is limiting you. Could be a frenemy, could be, a too limiting contract at work. I don't know what it is, but there's something like that. And it really is, it's an external thing. So it's something that's happening around you and you want to have the connection with others and you have a natural ability for the connection, but it's like it connects you at the moment to something that is disappointing or unhappy. So this is a big message to you from your deeper self that like, are you connecting to the right people? Are you differentiating and freeing yourself enough? Are you being held to things that are not fair? So then the deeper self wants you to become all you can be there. You're multidimensional, all the creative colours. So let's see what we get there in terms of our balance. We have the Ten of Wands reversed, Temperance, Alchemy. Yeah, this is you being able to bring this together, understanding your ability. And the Knight of Coins reversed. Okay, this is a slightly different balance. It's actually saying it's a bit of everything. This is definitely saying there's someone, when it comes to you being able to express yourself, if this is all kind of a bit more amorphous, you just sort of feel a bit overwhelmed by a situation you're in, the people that you're around or whatever, there is someone who you can see is not backing you when you want to express yourself, when you want to take a risk, when you want to commit, whatever it might be. So there's something about that. And trust your instincts. This is saying your instincts and your telepathy and your understanding is dead on. The only issue for you at the moment is don't have rose-colored glasses. Like actually see it for what it is, because there is definitely something here about other people not committing. It's something in that and not being trustworthy. You, however, have the ability to see this and bring it into balance. It's like you're around something, you've got the reverse magician. The magician, in a sense, moves from that level of skill and ability in the tarot into temperance with alchemy. It's sort of like the enlightened magician. So you are the enlightened one here. There is something else that is not. Someone is not committing to whatever this is. And this is saying you need to separate out from the responsibility. You're taking on far too much of a burden as a result. So I think the message is pretty clear. It's saying trust your gut about something that doesn't feel right because you're right about that. Okay, so let's see what Spirit thinks about this. So if that's your intuition talking to you, what does Spirit think? And we'll just do a single line, not one for each here. Seven of Coins reversed, Six of Cups reversed, Two of Swords reversed, and Two of Coins reversed. Yeah, Spirit is saying that this has been, you have kind of pushed this down. This is why it's important for this to come up now. This is why your deeper self is talking to you. The fact that we've got 4 reverse cards. Reverse cards are not necessarily bad, but they do tend to talk about something that's a bit repressed. So this is like trust and listen to yourself, like bring it up from your intuition because you're right. It's definitely saying you don't have to hang around with something that is not going to continue to grow. There's something imbalanced here. Do not be sentimental. Do not, it might have, whatever this might have been, might have started out as a great friendship, a great lover, or a great work environment. It's not in that space anymore. It's not growing anymore. Work out what you need to know to make a decision both about what you believe and also about what you want materially out of something. I would almost feel with those two reversed that there is something that could be salvaged from this. So if you're in if it's a group of friends, it could be that most of the friends are salvageable, but just one is not going to connect with you. If it's a relationship, then other connections you had out of it. If it's a workplace, it might open up some new opportunities. Once you decide that you're right about this and you're bigger than the situation that you're in, part 1. Okay. And so what is this? We'll just draw 3 cards for this to be the last part of the tarot. What part of this was meant to be brought to you that you're not seeing in the material world? Like what is the key message overall, bringing this together that your intuition can see, that your kind of mind and frontal personality hasn't seen? Knight of Swords. Oh, isn't that interesting? Wow. Six of Wands reversed. 5 of Swords reversed. Okay. So This is saying that you're holding on to something at the moment, and we all do this, so I don't mean any criticism, but your deeper self is telling you this. You're holding on to something and fighting to get the validation that you think you deserve. The thing here is, yes, you do deserve it, but you're too fast for this energy. What you're getting in terms of downloads and connection is too fast. You're too far ahead. It's not going to happen where you are. You need to go back and focus to what the download is and what you want to do, because it's like you have to separate out from whatever this situation is. It's not going to turn around. It's not. So it's whatever the situation is, if you go towards your ability and focus on what you need, you'll move very quickly out of this. But if you don't give up, if you hang around and won't surrender, and you just trying to get somebody to see this your way for whatever reason, this person or this situation with the Magician reversed is too tied up in its own ego and so forth, it's not going to shift. So this is your deeper self is bringing this to the surface so that you trust your own instincts and you make some decisions that suit you. Okay. So let's just get an everyday and a spiritual energy around this for you for a little bit more information. Main character energy. Yeah, I think you need to take on some main character energy. It's very possible that some people have gaslit you and said, don't do that. Some people, main character energy is interesting because some people use that as a pejorative. Oh, that's a main character energy person. They're just all about themselves. You're not that. Your problem is the opposite. You're kind of like so connected and so about everybody else. You now need to be the main character. This is where your focus needs to be, regardless of whatever kind of burdens others are putting on you. What does that mean spiritually for you? Decide, act now. Yeah, Spirit said this is not sort of something, don't dilly-dally, or I don't have to be patient any longer. Just move on. And I feel like that is bringing you kind of a leopard, you can change your spots, you can move on, and you have the power and the energy. It could very well be a leopard spirit animal for you as well, I would say. Okay, so I also wanted to have a look at signs and fortune energy around this, because if we're talking about what your deeper self intuitive energy is telling you, see what the kind of fortune and sign energy is around in other ways. So firstly, just going to get a couple of Lenormand cards for anything else about what is this message about on a fortune level. Letter. This is meant to bring you a message. That's the main thing about this. That's the download. That's why we had that right at the beginning, and we have the focus here. What you need to do is take that message and move forward with it. You may receive a message very soon that actually crystallizes this, and if you're looking for any further proof, crystallizes it. Or you might, if you start to focus on what you want, receive a letter that has an offer or something like that you want. Dog. And there are loyal people around you. This is what I'm saying. There are some good people around you. There's just somebody or some group of people or something, the situation is out of balance. But you may even hear about some of this from a very loyal person. So you're not going to be alone. I think that Spirit wants you to know this isn't sort of saying you've got to go out and be all on your own. You will have people around you because you're very much a people person, but it's understanding and being more discerning about that so that you can focus on your main character energy. So we're also going to just get a few tokens to see what we get there. Again, sort of symbolic sort of energy. Okay, it's interesting that we've got no. I think no. There is somebody that you need to say no to, or some situation you need to say no to. And we have an alarm clock ringing. There's time. You need to do this quickly. You have the capacity to do it quickly if you just focus. So we've got a menorah as well. I think that's what that is. I'm just going to double check to see I'm reading that correctly as a symbol. Yeah, guided by the light of God. Yeah, you've got the downloads. Trust that, very much so. Then we have the world. Yeah, you have a bigger sort of like canvas to work with, but you're connected to the world and to other worlds, I would say, with that. And then this looks like it says get. So I would get something for yourself, I would think. Oh, hang on. No, I'm just reading get, but that's actually just the number. Triangle. Okay, there could be a triangle. For some of you, this is about, a love triangle or somebody who's not right in it. But when you find the right people, a triangle is one of the strongest, or I think the strongest geometric shape. So we'll just see again what the system talks about with that. It's talking about as a trine in astrology, so harmonizing energy. So there is harmony here, and you are able to do it, but there's something you've got to say no to so that you can be guided to the right connections. That's what this is saying. Okay, so we're getting a pretty consistent message. Let's just see what sign you may see beyond what this is. A sign like that could come up as a synchronicity, or it could, we'll get a couple. Signs that are synchronicities, or could come up in your dreams or meditations or something like that, to tell you that you're on the right track to getting on with this and moving away from, and to listening to your intuition. Beetle, survival, longevity, rebirth, cleansing, divine protection. Again, it's saying you've got the protection, but there is a cleansing energy to this. If you are very much a sender and a receiver, you need to kind of get some good boundaries and clear out the energy for you. The beetle also, I think, was very sacred in ancient Egypt. Some of you may have some connection to that in the mystery schools with that coming up. And wow, porcupine, prickly, defensive, triggered, sensitive, criticism, protection. This is about, rather than being triggered or feeling like you have to defend yourself, if you feel like that, then it tells you who it is. If you're not sure about that, if you're suddenly around someone that you're constantly having to defend yourself with, they're constantly doing critical things, they're constantly making you feel insecure, pay attention to that. You've got the energy to be able to protect yourself once you know what it is. Okay, so I think that some of you may not know who this person is or what it is, but there is something going on. It's been saying it quite clearly, something going on externally. Some people you need to kind of reassess, or at least one person, but you do have the ability to trust your instincts on this. Okay, let's just get a couple of astrology pieces of information, just for anything else that might help with this understanding. So we have Venus in the first house, magnetic. Okay, you draw a lot of people to you. This is a thing, you're magnetic. You may need to be more discerning because you draw people in. You also would draw in jealousy with that. So just be aware of that. And Sun in the 8th house, very psychic, intense desire. So for some of you, this right from the beginning, for some of you, there might be a relationship associated with this. You are very magnetic. You might have an intense desire. I think you need to work out, is it true or not? Because it could be the third party who, could be a friend who's after somebody that you're with, and you just need to be aware of it and clear that energy out. Or it could be that the desire could get in the way of you understanding what's going on. So, but with the Sun in the 8th house, there is a very strong energy to really get to the bottom of it and understand it, and it connects with your very, very strong psychic ability. Okay, last but not least, we're just going to get something like some words said to you from the liminal space, because a lot of this has been more symbolic than anything. So let's just get a closing out message from the Enchanted Forest. Miracles in the dark. In the darkest moments, it's easy to feel lost and alone. When you stay focused on the light, you receive blessings beyond your wildest dreams. This goes back, I think, to the focus card that looks so much like this. The light is with you. The divine protection is with you. If this is disappointing about someone or something, it's being done to free you, because you can do so much more, find so much more, get a better thing because you're magnetic. You can bring in a better partner if that's what this is about. But you do need to understand your intuition is telling you the truth here. There is something that needs to be cleared. I hope that resonates for you. As I say, if you haven't already done it, then maybe go back to the beginning and just look at the cards themselves and see how that resonates for you. But beyond that, I hope that you enjoyed it. If so, please like and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 2, to your reading. So you came to the reading with what appears to be, what it looks to me almost like the beginning or birth cycle of something with card number 39, because we start with a woman who looks as though she could be pregnant. We then sort of see her having released that energy, and we have an acorn. That really fascinates me. I really noticed that one when I was just flicking through when I got the deck, because I've often talked about a book that I read a number of years ago that I found incredibly revelatory. It was a book by a psychologist and sort of spiritual seeker, James Hillman. The book is called The Soul's Code. I've recommended it to people when I've done these readings. I've recommended it to friends. It talks about Plato's concept of the acorn is the oak. So to me, this very much speaks of your potential, your full potential to grow to be who you are. And it would suggest to me that this is saying that your unconscious at the moment is saying that there is a new you or a new project or something like that being born. It has huge potential, but it's right at its beginning. So you might have almost felt like you've gone from the fool to the world in some way. An example might be that, you'd gone and done a Bachelor of Arts or a Bachelor of Science or a PhD or something. Like, this is just an example. So you've seen it through. Now you're ready to sort of do something else, or you're just about to start that and you know what you could be at the end of it. So there's something in your deeper self that wants you to think about, what are you kind of bringing into being now? What do you want it to be in the longer term, so that in the ingredients almost that you put into it in the beginning, the future is almost assured. Because again, like the acorn doesn't look anything like the oak, but I presume there's some sort of DNA in plants. Like, I'm not scientific, so I don't know. But the concept of it, all of that is programmed within that and becomes the oak. So that's what I get when I look at that. And I feel it's very much connected when I look at this sort of energy. This feels to me almost like a combination of a DNA strand sort of kind of pulled out so that you could actually look at it through its stages. Or even, this might sound strange, but even the Ouroboros, but more as a process rather than, the snake swallowing its tail. So a sense of this is a process of development, a process of something new, a process of who you are. Now, what interests me is then these cards just sort of naturally fell there and there. And I feel like we're looking at a process of the old falling apart by some external force. I'll get to that, but that feels very much like the Tower card to me. Moving to the new pathway, the new journey to go towards, I think, more something that's more heart-centered, something that's more true to you. So to me, it feels like there's almost like a tree of life energy that is following through all of these. Like the acorn could become the oak, like a tree of life. We have the tree of life almost being set upon here. Well, that's what it looks like to me. Now, this doesn't mean, as I say, I'm going to, once I've talked about what I get here, I'm going to have a look at what the artist was thinking about, because it could be quite different, or it might add a different layer to this. But when I look at this one, I feel as though there's almost like it's almost as though somewhere along the line, so much other energy, other people's ideas, other people's thoughts, the demands of the world, all of that kind of thing has created this looks like too many pathways, and it's as confusing as can be. So it's almost like it's too much energy. And what that then creates is a block. Now, this could be inspiration, ideas, and so forth, wanting to break through the block so that you can follow the pathway. This may be some form of spirit guide translating energy to you, calling out, sending out a signal so that you can actually make a choice about the direction that you go in. Or it could be alien forces, in a way, have created too much confusion and blocked you. So, and I think it's therefore getting back to the single purpose. Or if you now have an opportunity, rather than getting confused by all the different options, just go back to the purity of the single purpose, because by doing that, you get one road that leads to the heart, one road that leads to growth. So, and I feel like it's a combination with the colouring there, of the heart chakra, definitely with the green, but also there's yellow there. I feel like regaining your power to determine what your direction is. So I think that you may be someone who does maybe have a lot of talents, a lot of opportunities, and maybe one of the hardest things to do is to decide what is the direction and what do I do given that. I actually read for quite a few people like this who I've said you come across as very multi-talented. And that can be the hardest thing of all. I would often say I kind of envy people who have a single passion, someone who wants to be a prima ballerina or something, because although there are many challenges and so forth with following any kind of passion like that, I'm certainly not diminishing that, there is a focus that is helpful. I've known multi-talented people who kind of like do a bit of this and a bit of that and never feel like they're achieving it. So I feel like there's sort of something here where there's either been external forces blocking your choices, and you've now, what's coming through from your deeper self is as an idea, a new decision, a new relationship, something new like that. And that is going to lead to the heart. For some of you, this could very literally be about something like a pregnancy. Now, it doesn't have to be, I'm just saying, but for some of you, it could be something like that. So if you've had a lot of difficulty and, like stresses and so forth around, falling pregnant, for instance, or your partner falling pregnant, because of all the rest of the world and all the things that are going on in the world and all the discordant energy, then that you're going to break through that and have a very successful outcome. So I do think that the trajectory of this goes from here to here to here, and it's actually good, but there is something about understanding this. I think that's going to be the key thing, and then working out what is the acorn. Everything else kind of comes into balance then. So we will be exploring that a bit with the tarot. Now, as I said in the introduction, you're not going to notice this. It's going to be like a nanosecond, but I'm just going to pause and see what the guidebook said, because I just didn't want to be influenced at all by the guidebook to start with the first time I read with this. So I'm just going to see if there's anything else that would nuance some of this reading from what the artist felt. But do remember, it's what you get, like, so you can listen to what I say, you can listen to what I say the artist says, but, you might want to pause and look at it yourself before you even hear what's in the guidebook. You do you. The idea of this is to start to see what the symbolism means to you. So it's pretty much in alignment. The interesting thing here is this card is saying what is blocking you from fulfilling something. And this is telling me that you will. And it's actually with this telling you a way to do it as well, which is interesting. So the idea here is that this either could represent you trying to send a signal, I guess, to your potential and get over the block. As she says, there's wings on this creature. It could potentially fly over, but there's something that's halting it. And it may be a lack of self-belief or a lack of clarity in what to do. This is a very positive card in the sense that it is about birth, something new, a person or a relationship or a creation. It says there's very good soil now to grow. Anything will grow. But interestingly, it does say for better or worse. And so this is why it's very important to know what is the pathway. This is why the pathway to the heart is important. And in this, the artist talks about you need to make sure that what you do is in accordance with your heart. Follow your heart. That will take you to the right direction. Maybe you need to bring more love, more caring, more forgiveness, or something like that to a situation. Or just if you keep doing what everybody else wants you to do rather than what is in your heart, then you're not going to make the best of this, and you could create another block for yourself. So your intuition is saying there's a great opportunity, a great moment. If you're connected to your heart, you can fly over this. You don't have to worry about it. You can reclaim and rebuild literally your tree of life. So let's see. And as I say, if you want, pause the video now, or you can do it at the end if you like, whatever you want to do. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Ego Observer Tarot. Now, I chose this one very specifically. It has kind of similar sort of artwork, so I thought it would align visually really well. But more to the point, this is the very deep intuitive inner self and very symbolic. The Ego Observer Tarot to me is very psychological. So what I'm trying to do is raise the intuition energy here. And not raise it as there's something lesser about it, but I'm trying to raise it more to the conscious level so that you can see how this is playing out psychologically. What we're going to do at first, we're going to get 3 cards for each. What I'm doing is not only looking at what the cards are saying, but I'm also trying to look at, with each of these, what is the balance of the intuition is responding to an external event or external circumstances, which would be major arcana. Just stuff with other people, so external, but really just about other people, which would be court cards, or much more an internal journey, which would be the minor arcana. So just to get a balance to see where is the focus on that and how much are other people or bigger scale external events impacting this. So I might start with this one first, I feel, because I think it's going in that order. So I feel almost like this is where you are right now. So let's see what we get. 7 of Coins, 2 of Cups reversed, King of Cups reversed. Okay, this is very much connecting to your internal journey, maybe in relation to a single person that maybe is the block or the other energy on this, or might be important for you to be able to go forward and create something. So this is saying overall that for you, although there is a lot of frenetic energy here, and there's possibly some relationship issue with someone who's coming up as the King of Cups reversed. Now, the King of Cups reversed can be someone who's not being emotionally honest. So if you feel that some of this is kind of like you get a lot of kind of hysteria or emotional manipulation or whatever, it might be an indication that you sort of need to separate out from that and look for a new relationship. But otherwise, if it's not that, then this is maybe someone who is going through healing and who is a healing influence on you or needs healing from you. There is definitely something though going on for you to decide about who would you want to partner with? Whether it doesn't have to necessarily be in love, but it could be, you know, if there's something you want to create, do you connect with someone to do that and create together, or are you going on your own path on your own? Either way, it's saying there is something that could really grow. It's echoing this sense here, and you know it within. Within, you know, there is a time of fertility, growth, and so forth. It does require a bit of patience. I do wonder, since this is saying more heart, some of you, I think there might be an issue of making a very clear decision. Is there someone that you would partner with to go forward who has been a bit of an issue, but you believe that if you forgive that, move on, that you can grow together? Or do you need to separate so that you find someone that's more connected to your heart? And this doesn't have to be around love, though it could be. It could be just around some sort of business partnership or creative partnership. So let's see the fertile growth, the thing that you could bring into being now that you kind of already know is there. So what is the balance there for you? King of Coins, Four of Wands, Queen of Swords. Wow. There's definitely other people involved in this. Whether it is, as I say, a love relationship and you and the other person, or whether it's sort of business partnerships or whatever, there are other people involved in this, definitely. Like, it's like, this is maybe where the tension is, you know, like, whose journey are you on? You certainly can get the right people to connect with. These could be aspects that are, I feel like this is like probably one person and it's two aspects of them. So we have the King of Coins and the Queen of Swords. So there's definitely here, if you are looking for someone who have a mind connection with and who is stable and can be relied upon, that is definitely available to you. And it can be harmonious. If this is this same person, there may have been some emotional issues that you have to like forgive and move on to let that happen. Or it may be that if you let that person go, you bring someone better in. For some of you, this could be about a relationship and finding something that is happier, more balanced for you, more creative, fulfilling, and where there is a greater clarity in terms of communication and so forth. But this is a message that it's not really, I mean, we may get a big world energy there when you then decide what pathway to go on. But this feels very, very personal. It's about what would you want to create in the world and with who. And for some of you, it may be around, if this is around, you know, trying to have a child, like it may be that with patience, that the difficulties that might have been existing can get healed, and then there is a better sort of situation. So it could be just finding medical advice, getting medical advice that helps with that. Let's have a look at the pathway to the heart. So what are we looking at there? If you've realised there's something in combination with somebody else in some way, you can create a new path that is closer to your heart, or in navigating it, you have to always make sure that it's close to your heart. We get Four of Cups, overthinking, Ten of Coins reversed. Okay. And the Hanged Man. Okay, there is something now. There is something about what happens in the material world. So what this is saying is it becomes a very internal process about what in the material world either do you have to think differently about, or do you sacrifice to some degree to have this happen. So going back to what I said at the beginning, if you're a multi-talented person and there kind of that's been a bit lost and you've kind of been working with or connecting with people and it hasn't really been working, but you know there's something and you've now got the right people to do it with, you may have to sacrifice other things in the external world that you are following so that you can get on that pathway. And it's like, don't overthink it. Just what does your heart want to lead you to? Because it's saying that there are some things in your choices at the moment, the things that you could do or things in the past that have done what they're going to do, they're not going to grow more. You have to be thinking about what will grow more. If this is around a relationship, then it's don't overthink it. Just work out what would you say was the balance between wanting security and committing to someone, and then also having to be flexible to fit in with what they need. And particularly if there's something about forgiveness. So if this is a person over here that there is the possibility that you could, you know, step up and commit to, what is the balance there? Is this healed enough that it's not too much of a sacrifice, or would you still feel that it was insecure? So that's the only thing to think about, looking at your perspective about what would you want to grow. Because remember, this said this will grow one way or the other, for good or ill. So it's like making sure that what's growing is sustainable. You don't need to overthink it. You just need to work out what is it worth to you, really, I think. And what are the sacrifices it would require of you to work out if this is something that's close to your heart. Okay, so let's see with a single line, what does spirit think about this? Because this is just your intuition talking to you. So what does your spirit team think about this? And then we're going to have a look at, what was really being shown to you with this? Why was it necessary to bring it out now? Something that you didn't, your deeper self knew, your intuition knew, but you weren't consciously thinking. So first of all, what does your spirit team think about what you're looking at? The Hermit, self-love, that's interesting. 10 of Swords. 10 of Wands, responsibility. 10 of Wands reversed, responsibility reversed. 2 of Wands. Okay, all right. I think for many of you, this could be either around a work thing or it could be around love or a friendship, but I think it's probably either love, family, that kind of thing, or a work thing. Your spirit team says to you that you have a choice between doing something on your own or committing to and doing something with someone else. And that's all you really need to focus on at the moment is looking at self-love, looking at what you need, looking at what your heart needs, see how this character is holding their heart. Then they can work out how to open their arms to others. You need to stop taking on too much. It says you've been taking on too much. This is burnout. That makes sense with that sort of like imagery. It's like it's too much. Like there are too many people that you're trying to satisfy, or you could be in a relationship that's just too much emotionally. It's not stable. It's asking too much of you. To bring in the right connection, you need to go back to within to know what you want to grow. Because this is a pattern. This is something that you do a bit too much, I would say, pile 2. So it's like put yourself first for a change. So then what was missing that you didn't see sort of psychologically in the material world that your intuition is telling you about now? The Chariot reversed, the World reversed, the 4 of Coins. Okay, all right. What's going on here is that because there's so many roads, there's so many demands, there's burnout, there's all of that kind of thing, and you haven't crystallized down to what is the thing that you want to grow that is connected to your heart. You kind of like you keep doing stop-start and things aren't finishing. As I said right at the beginning, multi-talented people often will do a little bit of this, a little bit of this, a little bit of this. And what really creates success is focusing on something for the long haul. And that's the difficult thing. You've got to really make the choice. It seems to be connected to a sense of scarcity. So I think that Spirit here is saying your deeper intuition knows there's something, whether it's a career move, whether it's a creative thing, whether it's a choice in a relationship, the level of the relationship or who you're with, the ground is very fertile. Everything is ready for you to follow your heart. But you need to understand what not making the choice has done to you and why that is. It's this sort of sense that it slowed you down, stopped you completing things because you're always worried about, will I have enough? Do I have enough talent? Is the person committed enough? Am I healthy enough? Whatever it might be. It's saying you are, but you are the one, you have a kind of a mindset that says it may not grow. And it's coming from the fact that you have so many options in a way. You've got to distill it down. And as I say, I've seen this. I've read this for quite a few people that I've read in private readings. It's interesting that's coming up here. It's like that is the difficult thing. Whether it's you've got a number of options around love or whether it's around creativity or around career, you've got to get past the sense of if I make the wrong choice about what to grow, I'm going to end up in scarcity. This is saying if you go with your heart, what really drives your heart, all of that will sort itself out. It's the doubt that's holding you back. Okay, so let's see what the kind of everyday and spiritual energy is around this. Everyday energy. The glow up. Yeah, you're ready to do something. You're ready to become. Everything is ready for you. You've just got to believe in yourself so that you don't feel like you're constantly juggling a bunch of things or a bunch of other people that all have demands. So you focus on what do you want. And what does that mean for you spiritually? It's all in your head. Yeah, all of this worry about scarcity is in your head. It's not, it's this burnout, it's like you're overthinking it. Like it'll be really simple. What do you really want? Who do you really want? Who would you really want to commit to? Who do what do you really want to do in your career? Whatever it might be. That is all you need to know, because that'll connect your heart. And all the rest of this, all this humming and hawing and wondering about what to do and wondering about whether you'd make the wrong choice. You're not going to make the wrong choice. Like stop being so hard on yourself. Pile 2. I feel like I'm having a bit of rousing on you a bit here, and I'm not meaning to, but it's like it's a pretty clear message here that there's so much overload. You have to simplify it, and not worry about the outcome, because it's the overload that's the problem. Once you shift past that, everything has much more clarity, I think. So, but to let you have a sense of that, let's have a look at some fortune energy around it. Let's get Lenormand and also get you some tokens, sort of charm symbols as well. So fortune energy right now around this to be aware of. Coffin, yes, something needs to stop. Things are stuck. Things are stuck because it's an overload. Coffin is not death or anything like that. It's just where things are stuck. You've got to get out of this stuck energy because everything is ready to move forward. And whip, you might be worried. You might think there's going to be pushback. For some of you, there might be. And it may be when you do the pushback and you go, I'm going to choose what I'm going to do rather than what everybody else wants. Maybe some people are going to criticize you and you're going to need to forgive them and just move on. Or you might be worried about the pushback. But again, it's interesting, the whip fell next to it's all in your head. It's like you've got to do what is right for you and what is right for your heart. It will work out, even if it feels a little bit scary, at this point. So let's see what token energy comes up as well for you. Okay. So we have Gemini. Some of you may have Gemini strongly, or it could be around the sense of communication. I'm also getting, for some of you, there might be 2 things. It's actually saying there's 2 things that could align. So you don't have to give up everything, because twinning, like is there something that you could do if it's around career or whatever, that the twins energy and actually works well. And for some of you, if you are looking to start a family, you might have twins, just as a aside. We've got a telephone ringing. So a calling is coming, an opportunity is coming. So for some of you, the communication is going to come. You won't actually even have to worry too much. It's going to be very clear. As long as you feel, yes, that aligns with my heart. We've also got what looks like a radio signal, but I don't know if that is what that is. So I'm just going to look it up in the book just to make sure that I'm understanding what the symbol is. Audio signal, vibrations, energetic frequency. Well, yeah, there's a lot of energetic frequency coming through. But I think for some of you, there could be a download coming through, to bring you the calling. We've got a spider web. This is sort of like maybe that you've been entrapped in something. So I think it's like how you get untrapped. And then we have what looks like a gingerbread man and a seahorse. So I'm just going to see what that is meant to be representing. So the gingerbread cookie, childlike wonder, innocent, sweet, sacred, focus on children. So focus on something new. And for some of you, this might be about having a child. that could be for the people who that resonates with. And then the seahorse is luck, strength, and power. So that's good. So there's really good energy around at the moment. I think that's what Spirit wants you to know. And you're going to probably get the information and calling that you need. But you've got to free yourself from anything that's entrapped you in the past, that kind of energy. So let's also see a couple of signs that synchronistically you could see in dreams. You could see, like hear a song that has lyrics that relate to it. You could see somebody wearing a T-shirt with a picture like this on it, whatever it is. It's just to give you an idea when you're starting to work out these 2 stages and get out of this confusion energy. Bear, power, strength, brute force, courage. Well, when you feel the courage to do it, definitely. But, you might see, somebody wearing a piece of jewelry with a bear on it. You might see a nature sort of documentary or something like that. But I think you'll feel strong. Interesting, on a Jungian level, a bear can be problems. So when you actually identify the problems and you feel strong enough to deal with them, then I think that could also be, when you confront the bear, you look it in the face and you can move on from the problems. And Beetle, that's interesting. That came up for another of them. Survival, longevity, rebirth, cleansing, divine protection. You are protected, but this is a rebirth. It could be a rebirth of you. Remember I said right at the beginning, the first thing I got was the soul's code, the sense of who are you. For some of you, this is not about having a child. It's not about a new project. This is about you stepping away from everybody else's expectations, getting back to the purity of you and following your heart. So either way, these sort of symbols could be very powerful for you around knowing you have the strength and you're on the right path. Okay, let's also get you just a little bit of astrology information, just a couple of cards for that. So firstly, we have Venus in the 10th house, admiration. Okay, if this is about love and so forth, then you will have that energy drawn in. I think there would be, though, with the 10th house, if this is around career or whatever, it could mean you're going to do something that brings you great admiration. But I think it's also a little bit of a warning about not letting admiration rule you, because people can come along and admire what you do and then try and control you. So it's important in a way that it's like the Capricornian energy of the King of Coins there, that it actually can move to something that is helpful for you. And Mars in the 5th house, proud. Yeah, I think you will be proud. This is about you finding what you want to create, what you want to do, what you want to love, all of that kind of thing, and taking action, moving forward again. Whatever you do with this, as long as you make sure you know what you want to grow and you follow your heart, pretty much success is assured. So you don't have to worry about that. And you do have the kind of the charm to bring this about as well. But I also think that balance is important. Don't let admiration slow you down. You need to be proud of the choices that you've made for yourself. Okay, so just to finish off, we'll get some wording, like a direct message from the liminal space for you, which is via the Enchanted Forest. What do you want? Yeah. If you react negatively to the success and joy of others, it's a sign that you want more for yourself. Don't hold yourself back. Expand your comfort zone. So some of this, it could be also that you feel like other people are moving forward with what they want. Why can't you? This is the thing. Get back to what do you want? What does your heart want? Everything grows in the right direction at this point if you stop being stuck on the confusion or other people's desires or any of those sort of things. And if you do need almost a little bit of healthy competitiveness and jealousy with someone else to trigger you, that's all right, as long as you move forward to what is in your heart. I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. As I said in the introduction, you might want to go back to the beginning and just have a look at those images now, having heard this, and see what else you get for yourself. That's completely up to you. But beyond that, if you like the reading, please like and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 3, to your reading. So, as I said in the introduction, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about what I get looking at this, but you can pause and see what you get as well too, either before I do that or after I do that or before I do the tarot or at the end of the reading, because I think that's a really good idea to do that because of the nature of this deck. But what I will do after I've talked about it is I will pause. You won't even notice it. I'll say I'm doing it, and then I'll talk further to see what's in the guidebook, because as I said in the introduction, I didn't want to look at that. I didn't want to be influenced to start with. So on varying levels, in one of the readings that I've done, it was quite different to what I read, which is fine because it isn't meant to be exactly. So I went with what I got intuitively. And then another one, it was pretty close. This one, I wouldn't be surprised if it might be quite different what I'm getting, because there was something very specific I got in relation to this card when I first laid it out, regardless, and even more so when I see the other cards that have come with it. So that's the process we're going to do at first. Then we'll go into tarot using the Ego Observer Tarot to kind of take the deeper intuitive energy up to the psychological energy, because that's what that tarot is really strong in. And then we'll have a look at some other stuff to get other information. But for me, what I thought, well, actually, stepping back, what I feel looking at this is, to me, this is a reading for people who have a sense of either a very strong social, political, or spiritual imperative at the moment in the very interesting world that we live in the moment. I feel like it's not, it'll be interesting to see. Some of this may be very personal, but I feel like it's that kind of thing rather than around love or relationships. Now, there might be an association, we'll see, but I feel like this is about what's going on in the world at the moment and your connection to it in whatever way you view it. And I try to be as agnostic to sides politically and socially as I can be around this sort of thing. But I think we would all agree that we live in interesting times. And that's what I felt when I looked at this, because when I looked at this energy, where it almost looks like there's angels and devils around a person, it looks like they're in some sort of like a pot of potential water. And there's almost all these sort of energies that could be flames heating it up, or it could be something that's meant to kind of bring energy as well. What it made me think of is that concept that people talk about where if you put a frog in water and you slowly bring it to the boil, it is likely to just die in the thing because it doesn't notice the heat because it comes so gradually. But I think what this is saying, to me, this card is saying that you're someone who's highly psychic and sensitive, and you can feel the heat even before it started to heat up. And you can hear the different energies that are operating around this in terms of creating the situation that we're in. And you're kind of aware of it and hoping to get the gifts that we see there from the angelic side, rather than be worried by the sort of intrusive thoughts of the negative side. But you're also feeling a little bit vulnerable at the moment, which would be perfectly reasonable. Like, what is this going to be to you? So then it's very interesting what we see is the other cards, because here I feel like this is, again, it's sort of like something much bigger than just personal. This is what I feel this is about. This sort of feels like kind of Adam Cadman or something like that, like a universal figure out in the universe. You've got like the planets. It's interesting that we've got something that looks like a couple of Saturns there. So there's sort of something here. In fact, I almost feel like you're looking at a reordering of the world. That's what I'm kind of getting. You've got Saturn up the top here, maybe the Earth and maybe some other sort of big planet. I don't know. But then we have the Earth coming up, Saturn going into a second spot. So it feels to me like really archetypal. It feels like, Kronos giving way to Zeus. Like I just think it's got to do with the energy that we're in at the moment. And we've got almost this fiery energy coming down. Is that energy from heaven, the fire of heaven, or is it is it the fire around this? Do we almost have, this is the fire that's creating the boiling pot? And what is the center of this? What kind of power and energy is coming maybe from the divine, but is wanting to root itself within the worlds? So it feels really powerful to me. This feels, I really don't know what Sophie would have been thinking about with this. It just looks really, really powerful. And that's what I'm getting, particularly in combination with that. Then we get something that looks almost like a Dali painting, with the clock, a clock sort of melting. We've got a snake. We've got a time clock. We've got a ladder. This feels very Jungian archetypal. This feels as though there's a sense of time running out. And in fact, I get here, it's interesting, in one of the other cards, I got a different version of the Ouroboros, and I'm feeling the same thing here. It's like time on the karmic cycle is running out, because that serpent is going somewhere. It's not swallowing its own tail. There's sort of like, almost like, how do you climb your way up? Do you know, like, it makes me think of, like, there's a game, I don't know if it's even used anymore, but when I was young, called Snakes and Ladders, and you would go up, and you would get ladders which would take you further along, and then you get a snake and you sort of fall back again. It makes me think a bit like that, but in this case, it's not so much that the snake is something to fall back. It's like there is a way, like a ladder, to come out of the pot and to climb out of the karmic cycle while time is running out. So I think there's something here for you, as I say, socially, politically, or spiritually, or some combination of all of them. And there is something very personal to you that is about your karmic cycle and the time, and why you're here and all that kind of thing. And there's something very universal and bigger than you about this as well too. They're kind of balancing out, like the bigger events and how they impact you personally. But that's what it feels like to me. This. And it'll be very interesting to see what Sophie's book says. So in a second, I'm going to have a look at it and then talk about that. But to me, that's the message here. And having read for this collective for quite some time now, there are a lot of you, I think, who are connected to really big things in one form or another. So I think this is the pile for that. So If you do feel that, but you also felt there was something personal, you maybe the other two were a little bit more personal, so you might want to look at one of the other readings as well. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pause and have a look at what's in the guidebook. So as I said, it'll be a nanosecond. I'll talk to you about that, and then we'll start to look at it with tarot. Okay, so there's some interesting additional information from the guidebook that I don't think takes it in necessarily a different direction, but is worth adding to it. For this one, this is actually a card of alchemy, which is interesting. I felt like it's very big and universal, and I guess alchemy ultimately is as well. So there is this, to me, it's all about how big this is that we're talking about, but it's also very personal with alchemy. So this is the alchemist bringing everything into alignment. I saw these as flames, but apparently they're meant, according to the artist, to be mountains, so red mountains in some way. So I think that's the solidity of the self. Now, but it is interesting where they're placed in this card. I feel like there is something, this may be the alchemist going deep within rather than being in the material world to have those connections and therefore connecting to something bigger. But there's definitely something here about, to me, about the sort of cosmos as well. But the interesting thing is that this says sometimes one of the meanings of this is the opposite to what you think is the truth. And that's sort of interesting here because, as I say, this made me very much think of that frog in the boiling water. So I do feel this is calling to people to understand that there is a time imperative. This talks about things not being linear, and this talks about feeling isolated. I feel like this is saying that you have a sense that something is not what it appears to be. Time is not linear. You maybe are moving between the sort of like dimensions and so forth. And it does say that you have a bit more time than you think, but nevertheless, I still feel like there isn't limitless time around this. But there is something around this energy, and this could be saying someone needs your help as well too, which is about coming to the truth about something. And as I say, I think it's bigger than personal. But that's what we're going to look at next, because we're going to use the Ego Observer Tarot. And the first part of this I'm using in a very specific way. So I'm going to get 3 cards for each. And I'm going to be looking at how much is this big external events impacting it, how much is other people, and how much is it you internally. Big ticket external is major arcana, other people is court cards, and you more internally is the minor arcana. Now, I still think there's something big about this, but it may be at this point where we're at, like how much is the external world triggering this or already engaged? How much is this you having almost a psychic sense of it coming in and knowing you're going to have to focus in some way? But let's see. So we're going to get 3 cards for each to see what that balance is. So for the alchemist / person in the middle of the universe, connecting all of this energy into something that is shifting almost the status of the world, to me, that's what that looks like. We have Ace of Wands, turn on. So yeah, this is your own personal power operating. The 5 of Wands, chaos. Wow, in chaos. The light in chaos, the light bearer in chaos. And all the flames. There's something here about things heating up, definitely. And the 5 of Cups reverse. Okay, this has a very universal feeling, but maybe it is very within. So if there's external, it may be more here. Or as I say, this might be you hearing the call within way before the external stuff is going to sort of come into being. Because I'm sure there's something bigger than just your individual pathway here, but you're integral in some way. But this is saying that this point, this alchemy is very internal. Understanding what conflict is coming in. Knowing that you have the path, the ability, and coming out of the disappointment about what this is. So if this is sort of saying there's something the opposite of what you think is true, there is an inspiration coming through where you're going to have to let go of any sort of old truisms that aren't actually true, even if it's a bit disappointing. There's a sort of sense of like waking up. You know, it's like when people say you take the red pill, you know, you no longer have the sort of sense everything is safe and dandy in the world. But on the other hand, you have more clarity. So I think the alchemical journey that the artist talks about, and his sense, as I say, of being in the middle of the universe, sort of like having this information coming through, is about inspiring you. So then when we get to the potential, is that going to start to boil, or are you going to sort of grab the gems from the angels and be able to sort of move forward with something? What is the energy around that? 3 of Cups. Seven of Coins. Two of Cups reversed. This is very internal. And this is what interests me, because this of all of them to me is about something that's happening externally. But I think where we're at with this is the internal revelation of it. So we're not at the point of action. Might be at that point, but this is the core thing is coming to some realization. It is, even though it's a long road, it's a worthwhile road. Even though there may be some beliefs, connections that are no longer going to feel unified, there are also people you will find connections. So again, if you're looking at this like taking the red pill, let's say, you may feel like there are some people and some beliefs that they were fond, but you have to let go of them. This may be a long road, but you will be able to have some wins. So, and again, going back to that sense I had of like the frog in the slowly boiling water, that's the point. It's slow. So if you work out quickly to jump out and do something, you can help others, you can connect with others, and you can have some wins rather than just letting this happen. So I think this is a call to action. It's a call to realization and a call to action. So then when we look at where time, you have time, but it's not limitless. And where this also could ultimately be about whether past this incarnation, you stay on the karmic cycle or whether you transcend that potentially. We get the Chariot reverse. This is where it starts to be in the material world, because that's a major arcana. Yeah, the World reverse. That's interesting. They came up reversed in another reading, both of them together. So I think there's something similar. And the Page of Coins. Okay, once you've had the internal revelation, it's all about the external world and other people. And that's where you have to work out the timing. Because with the Chariot reverse, this is a destiny for you, but it hasn't been enacted yet. So you're kind of blocked. And it's unfinished business. This is saying very clearly to you, okay? Like quite a number of people say to me in, the comments that they really feel this is their last incarnation. I have no idea whether or not we all go back at the same time, so that's not true, or whether, that is true and that some people reconnect with the divine or they become ascended masters or whatever it might be. But what I think this is definitely saying is that if once you know what this is, you don't take on your destiny, then you've got unfinished business and you're going to be rooted back into the material world and into another incarnation. If you do take this on, it is very possible that you do get to escape it. So it's like, yeah, okay, the universe is saying if you're getting this download and guidance, you can see it, you can get ahead of this, but you do have to take action. You do have to do something in the material world in some way. And this doesn't mean you have to go and run for political office or start a social group. Some of you might. It may be a very spiritual thing, but it connects to the external world, and it's understanding what is your unfinished business. What have you come here for? Very strong karmic sort of thing here, I think. Understanding maybe past life energy. Page of Coins reversed to me is that there's something that you're meant to do with other people, which is inspiring them into taking practical action rather than just sitting around and waiting for the pot to boil. So I think you're meant to inspire others and get practical outcomes, because at the moment it's like this is all occurring because it's almost soporific for the people in the pot that's boiling, like they don't notice it and they're almost half asleep. So I think you are waking up. You're meant to wake other people up. Okay, so no pressure on you. Sorry, Pole 3. So let's have a look at what your spirit team think about this. If this is what your deeper self is telling you, what's the view of your spirit team? Ace of Swords reversed. Six of Swords. The Hierophant reversed. Okay. King of Wands reversed. All right. Your spirit team want to talk to you about the challenge that you're dealing with. They're saying that your different way of looking at things has been suppressed. You may have suppressed it yourself, or it might have been with the King of Wands because the power structures around you suppress it. Like for some of you, quite literally, this could be something where you try and sort of like wake people up with something and you're censored. And you've got to find the way around being censored. And in this world at the moment, the way that social media platforms operate, that's very possible. So there's something like that. But it's like understanding and getting away from the influences that are more tyrannical and less sort of supportive of you and others to waken that up. So this is all about waking up. So your spirit team agree, yeah, it's time to wake up. You will be able to heal, and you'll be able to heal others. But you can't just follow the standard established legacy. It's not working anymore. It's either its time has run out or it's become corrupted by inappropriate power or something like that. In whatever way this is playing out, you have to create a new legacy. You have to create a new way of doing things that is the right sort of use of things like power and influence rather than what there is at the moment. So your spirit team's well on board with this. They're excited about, this energy coming out to wake you up. And many of you may have already woken up in many ways, but there's something else coming through. There's going to be an inspiration that is an aha moment that is part of you really kind of understanding what you're meant to do with this. So then what is this trying to show you that you've missed before, you haven't seen or understood before? Seven of Wands, the Sun, Eight of Wands reversed. Okay. Firstly, that the only thing that blocks you is a lack of belief in yourself. Once you understand this is your life path, this is what you were born to do, it will flow a lot better. So that's part of it. Part of it is just to give you the courage and the belief to move forward into your life path because you are meant to do something with this. I think it's also showing, however, that what we believe is what gives us courage. And if you are in a situation, say with the King of Wands, whereas if you're in an environment that's all about sort of false celebrity, false idols, all that kind of thing, it stops the flow of creativity, the flow of true energy. The sun wants to connect and play and align. And remember we had all those planets. I think there's something about, for some of you, there's how your planets align in your natal chart is important. Have a look at that. Saturn in particular, Saturn, the sun, maybe the moon. There's something about that which will give you some symbols and some ideas as well. Okay, so let's just see what the everyday and sort of spiritual energies more generally is around this message from your deeper self. Pile 3. Strength. Yeah, you have the strength. The sun. The flower goes towards the sun. It's interesting too, because the water at the moment is being contained and boiling up. It would be better if it was actually nourishing growth. I'm getting for some of you, something might be about water. The water and nourishment, food, water, that kind of thing. Only take that if that resonates. Spiritually, the energy says, evolve, don't revolve. Yeah, and evolve, don't sort of just sit going round and round and round in that sort of gradually heating up pot. So this is an evolutionary thing for you. That's the important energy to understand. So let's see some fortune energy around it. So we're going to use the Lenormand and we're going to use the telltale tokens just for a little bit more information around how the fortune energy operates with what your deeper self is telling you. So firstly, mountain. Yeah, this is big. So we're saying it right from the beginning. This is big. So, build your strength, like know what you need to believe. What sustenance do you need? There's something about sustenance to see this through. It's a very big issue we're talking about. And birds, there'll be a lot of chatter, a lot of gossip. Be aware of that. People who try and influence in a bad way. So say censorship, all that kind of thing. Keep going on your journey, but know that some people aren't to be trusted in this. That's important, I think. Okay, let's see with the telltale tokens, what else we get in terms of symbolic language for you. Okay, so we've got Capricorn. So for many of you, this is about the powers of the world. Like I do really think for many of you it is. We have bells ringing. Yeah, time is coming. Time is of the essence. It's time. We have a shower. Like there's something about water, like water being used to clean everything away, get everything new again, rather than, just, as I say, boiling up. There's masks. There are people who are not what they appear. I feel like I want to put that with the birds. A bat. Okay, this could be sort of like spiritual sort of energy. Let's just see what a bat means in this particular system. Death and rebirth. So there's a new beginning coming out of this. And it's also, are you going to escape this karmic cycle? I do think there's something around that. And then triangle is trine. So that came up for one of the others, as I know that. It's things will be easier than you think, but there are people who are wearing masks, and you might sometimes have to wear a mask. Something is calling that is big of the powers of the world to clear the energy and to have a better and clearer sort of karmic path. That's what this is all about. For you personally, but then eventually much more in the world. It's you red pilling and then the world. So let's see what signs you might see synchronistically, or see in dreams, or as you're walking down the street, you might see someone with a T-shirt with something like this on it or something like that. Things to tell you that I think either the red pill moments come through and you're ready to do what it is, or if you don't know what the red pill moment is yet, that it's about to come through. So firstly, we get swamp, overwhelmed, weighed down, trapped, confusion. For those of you that this is about something political, I mean, I just have to kind of laugh at the sense of humour of spirit sometimes, drain the swamp. It could be something like that. I mean, regardless, again, of whatever political side you sit on, what that actually means to you as a statement, this is like a swamp. You don't want a swamp. You want a shower. You want to clear things out. So something like that is connected to this. And fire, passion, creativity, action, initiative, drive. Yeah, you've got to act. You are going to have to act. You've got to unblock things. And this is, I say, fire, warming things up, using the heat when the heat is on, like using it to create, not to sort of like boil everybody up and control. So, and having passion for what you do, passion for this, because it is a big thing. And as I say, you could be doing spiritually, you could be doing any number of ways, but you need to recognize the problem and then the purifying fire and our chemical fire, like, alchemy, the burning of everything in the Negredo brings about the refined soul. So very symbolically strong, I would say. Okay, let's also get you just a couple of stars to guide you along the way as well. Mars in the 8th house in Scorpio. There you go. Possessive. Okay, so some people may be possessive of you. Some people may be possessive of the truth. You may find that some of the issues that you're dealing with start to play out in very intense scorpionic sort of relationships, particularly with that King of Wands reversed energy. So it's important to be aware of that. You should possess your own drive and your own beliefs, but not become the thing that you despise. That's always something we have to watch out for if we work on those bigger issues. And Pluto in the 1st house, exploration of the freedom of self. Yeah, this is about freedom, people having freedom, not being possessed. So actually, I think this is more, it's part of the red pill energy. It's like you are a bastion for freedom. You are a change agent for freedom, and you need to take action to sort of like clear out that energy for people when you start to see it. So I think that's really what this is talking about. Okay, this is big ticket stuff for you. Let's just get a final spoken message to you from the Enchanted Forest, just to close out the reading. Do it your way. You were never meant to fit in. You were born to be wild and free force of nature, here to build new and better worlds. Allow yourself to go and do that. Well, there you go. That's pretty much it, isn't it? Not to be possessed, but to be free. Not to be sort of slowly boiling in a pot that the powers of the world is creating, but to actually liberate yourself and others. You're the alchemist. You're able to do it. So I hope that resonates. It is pretty big, but I hope it resonates. I hope that you enjoyed it. As I said at the beginning, you might want to go back right to the beginning of the reading and look at the images yourself and see what else you get yourself, just to use the deck at its most sort of heightened ability. But beyond that, I hope you enjoyed the reading. I hope it resonated. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings.